So you may have noticed I've started posting a lot more shorts, just trying something out. I actually was asking some folks, do you prefer the short format or the long format? I think I heard pretty unanimous, my normal videos have too much filler in them, so this one is going to be kind of an in-between. I want to focus specifically on Shane Warne's overseas cards that I have. So, obviously Warne has a ton of Australian issues, a lot of great stuff to collect there. But really what I want to focus on here is South Africa, England, and India. There's a big pile of India here. And my thought here, right, is like part of the reason I have this channel is just to educate what I'm learning. And I think this is one that I think a lot of collectors will probably get something from. One of the reasons I love cricket cards is because the overseas nature of it. There's so much international opportunity to collect different sets from all over the world. And, as an American, there's not a ton of cards created here, obviously, in North America. So I've had kind of the privilege of being able to look everywhere at once. So I want to start here in South Africa. So South Africa created one of Warne's first ever cards, which is the 1993 Top Sport. The same company that created Total in 1992 also created these Top Sport cards in 1993. It's a company called Stars Inc. But yeah, so that's one of Warren's rookie cards. It's one of my very favorite cards. It's about as tough to find as the Session, maybe a little bit easier, but not much. It's basically just the next year's issues from Stars Inc. He's got two cards from 1996 as well. These are also from Stars Inc. So people think of these as all different companies or all different cards coming out of South Africa, but really, this Sports Deck label, you'll see Sports Deck, Stars Inc., Top Sport, and Total. All those cards are kind of related. But these in the 1996, the Golden Wicket is a lot more valuable and rare, but the base cards from this set are really dynamite too. They look very 90s. And again, I'm going to prove that this is one of my favorite cards here. I have been looking for these cards anywhere I can find them. This is a pretty typical condition, good condition. So what is good condition? If you get a 2 or below, it's likely because in this case, the card has a little piece of tape on top. But people will soak these in the books and remove them, but there's obviously damage that happens to those. So you'll get a 1 or a 2 there. This one actually has a pretty nice back because it's only tape on the front. But getting them in anything more than a 2 is extremely hard. So a 5 is actually a great card. And if you look at this just eye appeal, right? Sometimes people have cards and like, oh, this is going to grade a 10. Most people would consider this a mint card. In India, they would even call this like a super mint or, double mint or something like that. But like this is a 5, right? And I think it deserves a 5. It's got some very small imperfections if you were to look at it under a microscope, but really just a mint, beautiful card. And 5 is still excellent. 5 is not a bad grade. It means it's an excellent condition card. 6 is even harder to get. So, was really thrilled with this 6th grade. This one actually blew my mind when I got this, an 8. So if you've been following the Session Total, you know that a 6 is an extremely high grade on that card. An 8 is an unheard of grade. I think there might be 1 8. So getting this 8 was pretty mind-blowing. And I knew it was a really, really sharp card, but I just figured it was just as likely to get a 5 or a 6. So I was really thrilled with an 8. And then this last one I bought, and I paid a lot of money for it. But this is one of the absolute best cards in my entire collection, which is the PSA 10 Top Sport, which I'm going to bet we might never see another one. So that is the only 10. It's the only card above an 8. I think there's only been one other 8 graded by PSA. So those are extremely high grades. And to me, one of the rarest Warren cards and one of the rarest rookie cards, and just one of my favorite cards. So very happy to have those. So that's a little bit of the South Africa space there. Now, he actually doesn't have a ton of cards from England. I think all these are from England. But to be honest with you, I'm not even sure. Like some of these are just random, Trump's cards, which again, I'm not 100% sure. Guessing most of these are England, but I would say not in probably a lot of Australian collections. This one is really the special one. This is a very hard to find set, and these have been selling for more and more money. They just keep going up. So I was glad to grab a whole set of these. It's a nice card. And then finally, this is the grand finale. Warne had a lot of cards issued in the 90s and early 2000s in India, which I would bet the most, even the big time collectors in Australia have never seen most of these. Most of these were issued with bubblegum, Big Fun bubblegum here. A lot of these are Big Fun. Big Fun made a ton of different cards in, I would say, 96 to 2002 was really when they were in their heyday, making just a ton of different sets. And some of them are just beautiful. Like, that is an awesome card. I mean, look at that. Some of these I've managed to find multiple copies of, but these are not easy or cheap to find. You know, everyone thinks, you know, with the exchange rate and stuff in India that these would be cheap, but even common cards from these sets, common cards sell for, you know, I'll try to translate this to Australian dollars, but, you know, $5 would be on the low end, $6 on the low end. Common cards likely sell for around $8 to $12 Australian for all these sets. So, you know, a card like this, which you look at the back and you're like, that's been glued down, very terrible condition, that's still going to cost you $4 or $5 to buy. And, you know, as a lot of the Indian collectors are realizing, hey, like, there's actually some great players outside of India that are worth collecting as well. You've seen prices of some of these guys like Warne start to go up above the price of common cards in the last, I'd say, 18 to 24 months, which just makes them that much harder to find. Here's an unbranded. So you'll find these too in India. There were some unbranded sets. Most of these were, I mentioned, Big Fun, but Center Fresh, another very popular brand, was another bubblegum brand. So you know, just a lot of different really cool cards from Big Fun. And, you know, I'm actually really surprised that these haven't taken off more internationally. And I'm really happy that they haven't, because there's not a lot of competition when these come out. I'm usually able to make some deals for these. You can see I've collected quite a few. I haven't even counted them all up. But you know, these are a lot rarer than a lot of the cards from Australia. This is another unlicensed, unbranded one. You know, these are rare, and you know, the fact that Indian collectors are paying, you know, $5 to $8 for commons. This is a great card, isn't it? You know, the fact that Indian collectors are paying $5 to $8 for commons tells you something about the rarity and the desirability of these cards. I've actually got this card signed. I made another video of my signed Warne cards, but I managed to get this card, which is signed by both players, without the tab, by the way. A lot of these are missing the tab, so having that white tab at the bottom makes these a lot more rare and valuable. But, you know, just some great cards. You know, Pepsi released some freebie cards, and, you know, you've got some iconic pairings here. You know, not a ton of cards. Like, I honestly don't think there's a single Australian card that has, you know, Warne and McGraw on it, or Warne and Simons. So, you know, I love those kind of cards. All right, we're at pretty much the end. This is one card that people probably have seen if you're overseas, and that's the 2011 attacks. And these are the first series of the cricket attacks from India. They're also, you know, the most iconic, most valuable generally, and the only set that Warne features in. I think he must have left the IPL around this time. But there is a gold, so the golds are more rare and valuable, and this would be considered a very nice condition one, even though it's got some corner damage. These golds are traditionally very beat up. So that's a very, very nice gold. And then I did manage to send one of mine away for grading just to see how it would show up. And again, it's a very, very sharp card. 5 is actually a great grade here. So still a long video. I probably could have done that one in 5 minutes without as much commentary. So let me know what you think. Is it too much? Hope you enjoyed learning about some of these cards.